Hello everyone, I am Mayur Borkar, Regional Coordinator, Startup Fellow from the Ministry of Education's Innovation Cell, and I welcome you all to another thought-provoking episode of School of Thoughts, a space where ideas meet questions and students become thinkers. Today, we are diving into a topic that's reshaping classrooms around the world: artificial intelligence in education. Is it enhancing learning or slowly replacing our teachers? As AI powered tools becoming more common, from chatbots to adaptive learning systems, we must ask, are these tools empowering students and helping teachers, or are they taking away the very human connection that makes education meaningful? To explore this, we have two incredible teams ready to debate both sides from Salwan Public School of this evolving issue. Team Human Torch, standing for the emotional intelligence, mentorship, and personal support that only a real teacher can provide. Team AI Edge, believing that the technology brings innovation, access, and personalized learning that can revolutionize how we educate the next generation. Let's hear what they have to say and challenge our own assumptions along the way. Starts with Ridhima.
To call Nelson Mandela merely a political figure would be an understatement. He was a great visionary and an architect of our minds. And he once said, and I quote, "Education is the great engine of our personal development." End quote. But today we ask, is that engine still working efficiently? For far too long, classrooms have been built around a one-size-fits-all model. Students grouped by age, not by ability. That's a quiet imbalance, where faster learners end up bored while the slower ones slip through the cracks. This is exactly where AI steps in. Not to replace teachers, but to reimagine learning. Platforms like Century Tech in the UK and Squirrel AI in China are already doing so. They adapt in real time, molding lessons according to the needs of the learner, not the other way around. And it's actually working. According to a 2023 World Bank report noted a 30% improvement in students' academic performances after using such systems. A Gates Foundation report noted a 25% increase in student engagement after using such systems. But AI does more than teach. It listens and learns. It catches the patterns that others might miss. Mistakes repeated quietly, concepts half understood, and confidence slowly slipping away. Think of a child with undiagnosed dyslexia. A teacher might need time and science to respond, but AI? It catches the unusual spelling patterns early and gently suggests reading support. That's not just smart, that's life changing. This isn't a choice between human warmth and machine precision. It's about blending both to serve every learner better. Because education shouldn't just be available, it has to be effective. And personalized learning makes sure no one gets lost in the back row.
Let's not mistake responsiveness for relationships. A machine can track errors, but it cannot track emotions. A teacher does more than just deliver lessons. They mentor, motivate, and notice. A 2022 Stanford study revealed that students with strong teacher relationships are twice as likely to thrive, not just in academics, but in life. During COVID-19, we saw what happens when AI replaces presence. Despite having access to learning platforms, students experienced burnout, depression, and massive learning loss. Why? Because screens can't offer eye contact. They can't tell when a student feels unseen. And the illusion that AI is enough is growing. Governments see AI as scalable, but scales should not replace the soul. A classroom is not a data factory. It's a space for laughter, for debate, for mentorship, and even for mistakes. Let's talk about context. A student, a student's silence could mean confusion or trauma. A teacher notices the slouched posture, the empty gaze. AI doesn't. AI does not understand heartbreak. It can't notice a kid with bruises hiding under full sleeves. It can't tell if a student is being silent because they're shy or because they're hurt. Teaching is not transactional, it is transformational. And transformation requires empathy. Human teachers model values, resolve conflict, and guide growth. AI may assist in handling tasks, but it cannot handle hearts. Education is not just access to content, it is access to care. Teachers don't just see minds, they see stories, they shape lives. AI may assist, but only humans can heal. And learning at its finest is healing too.
So this is from the first discussion we got to know that it's a great start. We have heard about Nelson Mandela and other fascinating facts about what have previously has been spoken. So we got the first insight. So let's discuss about what is, like, do you feel AI in education? Anyone wants to start from team AI Edge?
Well, a McKinsey report shows that teachers spend 40% of their time on administrative tasks like grading, paperwork, and homework. That's not teaching, that's tasking. Here is where AI steps in. It does not replace, it relieves. Imagine a classroom where the teacher walks in and does not have to scramble through registers or spend their nights grading papers, but they rely on AI generated insights to guide their students deeply. This is the benefit of AI that teachers have.
To counter this point, team, you want to say something?
That sure is an optimistic view, but the reality shows a deeper danger. Across rural areas like India, Philippines, and Kenya, schools have started using AI not as a supplement, but as a substitute. And this isn't innovation, it's panic economics. 60% of all AI based education in low income regions is cost driven. Following this trajectory, our schools will be filled with glowing screens and silent students. No interaction, no guidance, just content delivery. Because when policymakers see AI as cheaper than mentors, education now conveniently becomes a budget line, not a birthright. And the fallout? It's cultural too. AI systems developed in the West often lack the cultural nuance to connect with local languages, values, and ethics. We're creating a generation that grows void of human mentorship. And AI might deliver knowledge, but only a human can deliver wisdom. Yes, AI has its place. It can give you answers. But does it teach you how to ask the right questions? It may copy styles, but does it teach you how to cultivate original thought? We're single handedly robbing students of the chance to be seen, heard, and inspired because only a teacher can say, I see who you are and I believe in who you can become. Our longing, our striving for efficiency mustn't mean the erasure of the beauty of human connection.
So it's great to hear about human connection and the administrative part for all the teachers who are having this problem in the schools. So let's discuss about the another thing. Like, I just want to ask Team Human Touch, like, what do you feel? AI is a threat or a help? Like, what do you have this views on this particular point?
AI, if used efficiently, can be a help. But if we are over dependent on it and we use it for every other thing that we do, it kills our creativity, it kills our school of thought. It does not let us think out of the box. When we are stuck to only those few ideas, that creates dependence, and over dependence obviously is actually a threat.
To counter this point?
Well, AI, when used in moderation, when used effectively, is always going to be in help. It will always be enhancing our thoughts and helping out in many ways than once. It is more of a help than a threat.
Okay, so there's a both point, dependency and enhancing for towards the education. So I have another point to discuss, like, how do you feel about the learning experience in AI?
I feel that AI again enhances and aids our learning experience, we have a lot of AI tools which are upcoming that totally aid us with our homework, with our tests, with our exams which are coming up, and through those through the help which we get from those AI tools, we are able to perform better in our exams and our tests, and do our homework on time, complete tasks at their designated times, and I feel just the productivity of each one of us increases with the help and aid of AI.
If you would conduct about 10 Google searches and waste about 30 minutes doing your homework, AI can simplify that for you with one prompt, which agreeing with him, definitely increases your productivity by a lot.
If someone who's struggling with walking is given crutches, do you expect him to start walking on his own and never use those crutches? If you're providing a student who's already trying to avoid study aids, then isn't he going to misuse and keep on reusing the same tactic of using ChatGPT to do his homework? I believe it's creating dependence, and students have no incentive, no initiative to do their homework on their own because they are being provided an aid. Unless we do interactive sessions like this which educate audiences, I don't think we can spread the awareness that these kind of things do create a dependence on students, on young minds. They have no incentive to initiate original thoughts.
Okay, but at the end of the day, even if we're to enter a prompt, that does require some level of thought to our mind that what exactly are we looking in our answer. So even if we're thinking it that way, it does require some sort of thinking at a personal level. So it's not complete dependence.
No, I completely agree with you. But do you look at the scale? Are you looking at the scale? Making a prompt versus writing a whole essay yourself. Which do you think requires more brain power? Which do you think requires more creativity? Which a student will try to avoid if given the aid?
A student will try to avoid writing an entire essay, but if he knows what to put in the prompt and get a structured answer, he can use all of those points to write an essay based on the points that he gets from the prompt, and he can structure them into what he needs.
Knowing what to put is creativity. Knowing what to put is the mental workout that you need to do as a student.
Okay, but like you said, the nuances that are there to creative writing, for example, you have to enter that prompt in the AI tool that you're using for, say, ChatGPT. You have to put in please add this kind of a prompt there.
But mostly the prompt is a homework question. What creativity goes in pasting a homework question on ChatGPT?
Well,
But then the answer that AI is giving to you, it's much more broader than your textbooks. So you have to, even if you're trying to copy off an answer from any AI tool, you have to adjust it to your frequency, that it has to be in accordance to your books.
You mentioned a point. AI gives broader answers. Well, a study contrary to whatever you're saying has been published that says AI creates echo chambers. Now, what echo chambers are is basically one idea being replicated and reproduced in society on a large scale. So, AI creates echo chambers of thoughts that are usually of Western origin. What I mean by this is, if one idea is in predominance, it will be perpetuated and circulated in society on a large level because everybody is using the same chat GPT models. Everybody is using the same chatbots, right? So this creation of echo chamber then limits your thought, which is completely contrary to what you are saying. You're only limited to the scope of what AI is feeding you, what AI is giving you.
Very no doubt what you say, that complete dependency on AIs create echo chambers. Fair enough, agreed. That's where the responsibility lies with the user, with the humans. We have the responsibility of filtering out what is relevant, of adding our own thoughts, and then creating the best use out of it. This is what we're advocating for, not complete reliance, but aid.
We add value to the AI content and make it more useful as per you.
Because if we're limiting our thinking to getting ready-made answers from AI, we're also enhancing our creative thinking if we're to add our subtle nuances to our answers.
I think this is where we can find a middle ground, and I'd like to continue.
But do you think we're responsible enough to only use AI as our inspiration? Or will we become so handicapped that we'll just stop thinking one day and we'll totally rely 100,000% on the AI, on the ChatGPT prompts, and on our Gemini and Quillbot answers?
Because let's take a simple example. if a child is raised in this generation from scratch, not of any previous generation, but of this generation only, in which AI is so advanced and technology is rising. So, do you think that that child would have the responsibility if he would have been taught to get answers from ChatGPT straight from his childhood? Would he have the kind of responsibility that you guys are talking about, that to use AI responsibly and to only use it to enhance their thinking and not eliminate it completely?
I think the choice lies in our hands. Even when mobile phones were invented, they were as an aid to just provide us with aid. And today we see people who are totally dependent on mobile phones, and also people who are creating content and not consuming it, keeping their creativity intact.
To take you up on the example you gave an example of mobile phones. Let's take an example of an even more basic technology, calculators. Yes, they provide aid. They definitely help you in your maths quizzes, maths questions, maths essays. They help you a lot, no doubt. But they're still not allowed in an exam center, are they?
That's
Why are they not allowed?
That's
I think they're not allowed because you want students to grasp how to do that basic equation. You want them to learn those basic multiplication, minus, plus. Even though it's the most grassroots thing to learn, you still want them to know how to do it, right? And that is, I think, where AI is completely making it redundant. It's making basic thought redundant. You do not know how to begin your research. You do not know how to initiate that thought, which again we come back to. I think that is where it's creating a redundancy, which we need to address. It's a very crucial point that society nowadays, children nowadays, have a massive problem with. I think that is what we should be addressing right now.
When you're right, calculators are not allowed in exam centers, but is AI allowed in exam centers? We use calculators at home to help us solve our maths problem whenever we get stuck. And hence it actually enhances our learning experience. It actually tells us, and we're able to verify wherever we've gone wrong. Cannot AI be used for the same purposes? We're not allowing AI in exam centers. We still want students to write their essays on their own. But at home, they can practice through AI and they can make up their points and collect information and then use their own mind in the exam centers.
I feel that you talked about AI is like crutches to us, but instead it's an aid to us. Like Arav said, we use AI and calculators at home. Continuing our example of the calculator part, we use calculators. They help us. They save our time. Similarly, AI can save our time at home. AI is never allowed at exam centers, and it's on the person whether to be completely dependent on something or use his or her own brain. We have listened about these like we'll be dependent on Google, we'll be dependent on mobile phones, we'll be dependent on laptops, overly dependent on all the technologies that are coming up. It's always the same thing, but again, it's on the person who's using that technology or who's indulging into it, whether to use it mindfully or just completely get dependent on it.
Right now, as we're introduced to AI, it's a very new concept for us, and everybody is accepting all the answers that we're getting from AI at their face value. Slowly but surely, as seen with Google, we don't just Google up something and then copy and paste it and accept it. That does not fetch us marks. We need to edit
That is where we can find a middle ground. AI should be used as a supplement to your learning, but it should not be used as a substitute. And I think that is where we need safeguards, and I think this is the middle ground that we are all looking for.
plus to take you up on your example of calculators. Sure, it tells you what 1 plus 1 is, but it can never tell you how to plot 3 comma y on a Cartesian table.
Well, what do you think a child who's excellent at the conceptual concepts should waste his time on calculating and then entirely leave the subject being disappointed? Or should he focus more on the conceptual part and use AI for the
Just
calculator?
countering that question, let's say you have an exam tomorrow, and the previous day you're using calculators, ChatGPT to write your answers, to practice and everything. When you go to the exam hall the next day, do you think you'll be able to put out all the efficiency like you did? Or would it be better if you did not use the calculator, use your own brains, worked hardly, and then put out?
Well, that's where the choice arrives. You can use AI before the exam for getting summaries, for getting short summaries and answers for yourself to learn better, so that you can prepare better for the exam tomorrow in the less time you have, in the short period of time you have. Again, it's the choices one has to make, and if you use AI responsibly, it's a very helpful aid, I'd say. instead of us being over dependent on it.
Taking you up, you talked about using AI before the exams to practice. Yes, that is what we're advocating for, to use it for practice, for enhancing learning, not for just written down and outputting what it gives them.
Okay, so concluding this point, okay, we'll move to other part as well. So we are having a good discussion. So just want to discuss, like both of the teams have put a wonderful point. Like for using prompt, you need to know whole story, but thereafter you also know the proper conception plus the creativity which is required from team already mentioned. So I just wanted to ask you another question, like what do you feel about AI powered classroom? So what do you feel like it's like, where the teacher fits into it?
AI powered classrooms should only be supplementary to actual teachers, because as we are advocating similar thought that actual teachers can guess emotions and judge when a person is actually not right and whether he's grasping the concept or not. But AI doesn't have emotion. It cannot detect when a student might be feeling something that is eliminating his thought processes or is restricting him from studying properly. AI can just give in answers and give in straight up content to us. But a teacher can feel what a student is saying. And it can actually relate to their situation and give humanly examples so that they connect to the student.
Manas, you say AI powered classroom should be supplementary. I think not. I think they go hand in hand alongside live teaching and live teachers. Why can't teachers make use of the pros of AI to enhance their teaching, to actually help students grasp that concept that they're teaching?
I agree that teaching should be like, in a live classroom, obviously we all use smart boards and stuff, but that is a very minimized level of AI that we're using. What AI we're talking about here is just completely replacing teachers.
Well, it's not about replacing teachers or traditional learning. It's about unlocking the potential in a student, which a student actually has. With the help of AI, with the aid of AI, teachers, it gets a lot easier for the teachers to do the task which if they don't use AI, it takes a lot of time. They have to check many notebooks, they have to check tests, they have to keep record of each and every child. And they cannot give that attention to each and every child if they get stuck in the cycle of work. In that place, AI helps them to understand their students better with many tools which have come up recently. Also, it helps them to streamline their work and finish it in a given period of time so that they can give more time to the students, more time to teaching, rather than doing the tasking, which is not even the part of their job, but they have to do it. They can focus better on students with the help of AI, is what I feel.
When AI takes over routine work, the human element of teaching shines even brighter. It allows teachers to focus on what machines can't do: the human connection, the encouragement, and the trust building.
I agree that AI can be used in tasking because that's something that really puts an impact on actual teaching. Agreed. But if you're talking about potential, do you really think that a child who is growing in this day and age, if we give him chat GPT from his root levels, do you really think that he would have the potential that you're talking about? Do you think that if a student is given answers and given content straight away and his entire thought process and researching processes are eliminated, do you think that he would unlock the potential that you're talking about or eliminate that potential and be using that potential from chat GPT itself?
You mentioned repetitive tasks. I would like to take you up on that. So when teachers perform repetitive tasks, that's still useful. We all agree on that, right? When you take away those repetitive tasks, the authority of a teacher is simply eroding. Why I say that is because when policymakers, we see from the eyes of the elites. If we see from the eyes of policymakers, if they see that something is performing the same functions as this human who I'd have to pay more, if it's performing the same functions as this person, why should I pay the person? Why should I have a teacher when AI is doing what the teacher can do cost effectively? As I mentioned, in low income regions, AI is already replacing teachers on a large scale because policymakers can only see cost efficiency. And I think that is one point that I would like to hear a counter on.
No doubt, you are absolutely right that in a lot of places, especially in underfunded schools, AI is being used as a cost-cutting measure to replace teachers. But that does not mean we can discard or discard the idea of using and integrating AI in our lives completely. There need to be safeguards against it. There need to be policies that need to be made. but that does not mean that we discard the entire core essence of it.
Hargun also mentioned that, like you said, all of these tasks, the authoritative tasks of a teacher, they can be replaced by AI, so that they can focus more on the part that AI and machines can't do, the human touch, the human essence, like you saying. So you said that AI is being replaced entirely. So if you're saying ki you won't pay the person because AI can do the job, in your heart you know that AI can do it, but I still need that teacher for teaching the students on a human scale.
I know, and I believe we need teachers. That's what I stand
That's
for.
what we're
But
advocating.
I would like to also add the point that you're saying we outsource repetitive tasks to AI, and then we keep teachers to supervise that AI and then enhance it. And that's what you're basically saying, that we keep teachers on a backdrop. Even if that's not what you're saying, you're initially saying that teachers and AI can exist simultaneously.
Simultaneously,
But
to
what
work
I am
together.
trying to say is a contradiction to that. What I am saying is, when you're seeing one tech work very efficiently and you're seeing teachers which you have to pay, they completely replace those teachers. They are not keeping them on jobs they're not keeping them on the backdrop. They're not keeping them on the jobs to then supervise that AI, to then supervise that teaching. They're completely removing that position, stripping teachers of that role. They're removing teachers from school and then implementing AI. Because you don't pay two people. You're not paying ChatGPT a premium subscription and then also paying a teacher, right?
Also, the way Hargun talked about potential, talking humanistic psychology here, a person reaches his maximum of potential only when he's surrounded with people with whom he or she can connect at an emotional level from the heart, which might not be the case when you're talking to an AI system bot, but would be a good case if you're talking to a very good teacher of yours.
Let's take a very simple example. In a classroom where you're surrounded by peers who are competing against you as the class is going on, who are solving maths problems before you can, you're getting that psychological impact in you that you also need to polish your skills. But when an AI is simply giving you the answer, you're not going anywhere with that. Your thinking is eliminating right then and there.
What you guys are thinking of using AI, that is not what we are saying. We are talking about using AI to teach and not to give out answers. We're talking about how it can explain concepts, how it can, supplement teachers when they're doing repetitive tasks. Why don't we use that manpower, that skill of the teachers more at a more focused subjects and actually teach students instead of taking attendance, spending time on grading homework, which can easily be done by somebody else.
In areas where teachers are not required, if AI is just helping us do that, do you really think a teacher would be supplemented with a robot standing and teaching them? No. What we mean is teachers should be enhancing their teaching and aiding the teachers in the AI or the repetitive tasks that you mentioned.
Thinking from a very Darwinistic and elitist view, I would say, if I was an elitist person, I would say, why the need for teachers? Right? If something is performing one task efficiently, this point I keep re-emphasizing on, because I haven't heard a good counter till now. If a machine is performing a task better than a teacher, what incentive do I have as an elitist person, as somebody who's in high class society, who's making the policies? What incentive do I have to keep that teacher? If something is performing that task more efficiently, if it's more cost reductive, then why the need for
Not
teachers?
many, aren't you contradicting?
That is what society is propagating. The need for teachers is eroded as soon as you take those basic tasks away from them. As soon as you take away those repetitive tasks, her authority is simply eroding. Which means as soon as her authority strips away to a certain point, to the tipping point, there is no need for her left.
Actually, I totally disagree with you.
So authority needs to stay intact. We can use AI, but only in home settings. We cannot let AI overpower our classrooms, because then the need for teachers simply goes away.
Right, two things you've talked about. One, you're contradicting yourself when you're saying that AI can perform functions of a teacher better than the teacher themselves. That's not what we believe. We believe that they can aid, they can assist. That's what we keep re-emphasizing on, because we haven't heard a better counter there. Secondly,
sorry to break your point.
Secondly,
sorry to break your point.
please let me continue.
That was what I was saying from an egalitarian point. That was not what I was thinking. That was something I was thinking as an elite
But
person.
what makes you say that robots and AI are more efficient than teachers?
I'm not saying that. I completely disagree.
That's what
said
That is what
exactly
I
what you
just
said.
said.
That's exactly
That
what you
was a
said. Again,
hypothetical.
coming to
If I was an elitist person, that is what I
That-
would think
that
because
was
of
from
the
a
That's
point of view.
hypothetical, then we're saying
But
that
then you're
that's
believing
coming
that
to the
AI
point.
Okay,
That's
so
what I
we
thought.
are okay to cutting out this one because we are getting into a huge commenting out everywhere. So let's okay, we got it. Like AI powered is important, but yeah, we teachers are much more important than that, and this is all the concluded is. So next question is next discussion is AI over teachers. Like who loses the most, the school or the students? What do you feel? Okay, continuing with you.
well, AI is what we were advocating for, that using AI as an aid, not completely taking over. Again, where we left off, that the authority of teachers does not go away if she's not grading our homeworks, if she's not taking attendance in the class. A teacher's authority is maintained when she's teaching us. What we are saying again is that students do not get robbed of any skill or any learning part if AI is inculcated into our schools and into our classrooms. I feel that AI is just an aid to do all the unnecessary repetitive tasks, as you have stated again and again, that those repetitive tasks like taking attendance, grading homeworks, or just marking your tests, which are not that relevant for a student. What is relevant is this teachings which the teacher gives. It's this, we go to school to study, right? Not for getting our homeworks checked or getting attendance marked. The teachers can focus better in teaching students rather than giving time to these things, right?
And it's very simplistic thinking that teachers are devoid of any authority if they're not doing the repetitive tasks. That's a very simplistic thinking. The authority that teachers have is the human connection, is the bond between the students. It is what they speak, their words, and what the students are able to interpret, and not the repetitive tasks. That's a very simplistic mind of view.
AI can ever replace that?
That's what we're saying, that it can never replace that.
We are
It's
zero.
not replacing.
We
it's
are talking about that
complementing.
AI will
assisting.
aid us, AI will assist us, never replace teachers. That's what we have we have advocated since a long period of time. And coming to the question that will schools lose more or students, I feel that students do not lose if AI is inculcated into our classes or schools. Instead, our task becomes easier. Teachers feel easier to teach and focus better on students rather than wasting their time all around.
They can focus more on the qualitative aspect of teaching
I
instead of.
disagree with that. I think if AI is inculcated way too much in schools, students will definitely lose because they will lose all their original thought and they will need AI for everything. Like they won't be able
But
to.
again,
do
to
anything.
increase
Actually,
that.
we are in this discussion. Harbin said that students don't lose anything. But are we including the students who are coming from a low income background? Like in rural areas, most houses don't even have electricity, let alone the bandwidth. So are we not gonna take
That is
them
what,
in
if they come to schools, have AI assisted classrooms, they'll get a chance to learn better, to learn through technology. AI will help them. Again, as one of us stated here before as well, that the students with special needs, dyslexic students, AI helps to identify them, assist them. AI helps in better learning of them and empowers them. They lose nothing, but they gain new skills, and they feel more easier to understand things which maybe teachers could not help them with. AI has helped them with it, not taken over the role of teachers or taken over their thinking ability.
You talk
Ash-
about rural.
Sorry, Ashwin, to take you up on your point, don't you think that's something that the government should be focusing on, making sure that like children from rural areas, they're able to go to the school and avail those facilities?
You talk
Exactly.
about rural areas.
Okay.
What about rural areas in the schools which do not have human teachers?
That's very
And Ashwin, what you talked about, it's more of an argument in the case of infrastructure. It's more of an argument, in buildings of schools,
In policy making.
in the policy making, and not against AI. Do you mean that if a certain sector of society cannot access, or certain sector of society cannot get the benefits of AI, the other entire sector should not also get the benefits? That's a very crude way of
While a
thinking.
certain sector of society does not even have the basic amenities or the basic sanitation or their healthcare or food care, whatever. So how do you include education and AI in that?
I think the lack in policy making has been highlighted by both parties, and I think that's a middle ground. But I would like to introduce a new point since we've conflicted on this for way too long. I personally think students lose. Why do I think that? We talk a lot about IQ. We've talked in place of IQs. I'm talking about EQ. Let's talk from the standpoint of EQ. If I'm talking from the standpoint of EQ, I talk about creativity. That's the first thing I initiate. I think a student who's studying from an AI classroom is losing subjectivity, is losing his creativity on a daily basis. Why do I think that? I think so because a teacher can interpret dance. A dance teacher can interpret dance and tell you what was the hidden meaning behind those steps. We all saw Life of Pi. We all saw the interpretations of dance and how that made us happy, right? That subjectivity it's honestly priceless. And we would be losing on that. Students would be losing on that subjectivity if AIs were to be placed in schools. Can an AI teach you the hope behind Kafka's sadistic words? I don't think so. I think the hidden symbolisms and subjectivities in day-to-day humanistic actions cannot be interpreted by something that is just codified.
While I think your side is more of an extremist point of view, where you're talking about the eradication of AI from our lives completely, and we're not advocating for that, and neither are we advocating for the inculcation of AI everywhere and replacing teachers as well. You said there are a lot of subjective matters which cannot be spoken about by AI. Agreeable. That's what we are saying. On those matters, let's keep teachers where they are, but let's have AI help them focus on the subjective matter more.
Again, as
But
I
see,
said,
you
that's
guys
the
have been
idealistic
talking
in it.
You
about
mentioned
the-
Franz Kafka's writings, and you said that all the sadistic writings of him.
Nobody can
You-
see the hope in them.
Yeah, but if a student is reading his books at home, he's like, I don't understand this. Let me go ask my teacher. The teacher reads, and he's not very sure. So again, we're advocating that he uses AI, and AI can come together. Like if you're taking a lesson from a teacher and you're taking a lesson from an AI, don't you think that the same questions would pop into your mind if it were a teacher and an AI? So if the teacher might not have a full grasp of your question or what you're trying to ask him, AI can assist the teacher there, and they can work together to answer whatever subjective or
I think the
complex
teacher you're talking
questions.
about is not trained enough. But honestly, on your point, Arav, I would like to add that I think we are not talking from an extremist point of view. On the contrary, I think you guys are talking from an idealistic standpoint. Why do I believe that? Because I think extremism would come when we say eradicate AI from all aspects of living, which we're not saying. We're saying just don't let AI overpower schooling. Remove it from schools. It's not needed in schools. You can go home, search AI, get help from it, but I think it's still eroding your brain capacity. I think it's still.
You guys have been talking about the if factor. You're saying that if we do this, but do you think that from an elitist point of view, as Dhwani mentioned, from a person who is interested more in money than in what's happening
That is
actually?
again an if.
So that is an if. So if a person is thinking from that standpoint, do you think that he would actually incorporate AI like you're saying? Or would he not just replace teachers with AI?
Now that
Okay,
we're
yeah,
talking
the
about
responsibility,
a
the
person-
responsibility is also
A
subjective.
person
Let me
who
say
has
that-
a point of view of saving money or is more towards let's focus on earning money than the human touch or than teaching, AI is again helping him. I'm not saying the person with then what I talked about, taking half of the useless tasks of the teachers and giving it to AI. Again, the costs are saved there. Teachers are teaching, and students get better understanding.
But the sense of responsibility that you're talking about, that we are responsible enough to make a decision that where AI needs to be used and where it needs to be removed. So do you think that everyone possesses that responsibility? Even the principals of schools, do you think that they completely
Again,
have that
that's on the
responsibility?
person. That's again
That's
an if.
the
That's on the person.
You think the 5-year-old
But then-
who's
then-
given
then
access
that's
to
an
AI
if,
has that
na?
responsibility.
That's
Again,
an
what
if.
are you? What you were talking is also an if. What if the person
One
is
by
not
one, we'll go.
able-
One by one, we'll
I
go.
feel that the child loses whatsoever. AI takes your credit. Let's say there's a person who's writing their essays, their works on their own, and then there's a person who's chat GPTing all of their answers. But you would obviously think that the chat GPT answer is more refined. You would give them credit. You would give them more than the other person. And it makes the other person void of his credit.
Right, that's what I'm saying, Siraj. We have to adapt as a society to be able to distinguish between the AI generated content and the original content. Eventually, with years, as with Google, as with all the other technologies that previously that were there, we will adapt as a society and we will be able to distinguish. And you say that we're thinking from an idealistic point of view. What do you suggest is the alternative? A pessimistic point of view? Whatever new technology we have, we don't inculcate it. Dhwani, you talked about not inculcating AI in schools. Why not? Don't you think you giving access to AI in a moderated environment would be better than students out of curiosity, or perhaps because they're not being able to use AI in the schools, going at home and then using it as they want?
Again, what I think is idealistic is the point that you brought up, moderation. You think that there is going to be moderation. I believe there is not going to be moderation in schools. When something is being reproduced and propagated throughout society at such a rate, if an idea that people have very, very less awareness on is being propagated at this speed, people do not have the responsibility in themselves to use that technology very productively or very responsibly. Can you seriously expect my 5-year-old sister who's sitting at home doing her maths homework, struggling, to say, मैं AI से नहीं करूँगी, I won't do this with the help of ChatGPT? She won't do it. She doesn't have that responsibility, and it's idealistic to expect her to have that responsibility, and it's idealistic to say, first we introduce the technology and then we introduce safeguards. Safeguards need to be in place for the introduction of any new technology, and I believe schools should not be the playground for new ideas of such kind.
Okay,
But
but
you're saying-
don't you think that where we're exactly supposed to use AI, isn't that like if we're trying to determine where it is supposed to be used, that's quite practical? Because, for example, you cannot use AI in your, for example, a 40 minutes period for dance, say. So, like, AI cannot tell you how you're supposed to move in a particular way. That, for example, there is a 40 minutes period, and a teacher who's coming, whose class you're trying to attend, she's spending 10 minutes of those 40 minutes just to take attendance, to make sure that everybody is here. Wouldn't it be practical to just let AI do that?
You talk
that
about
part?
eradicating teachers from school. Do you think teachers are perfect human and they cannot use AI for enhancing their knowledge?
Let me add it to that. Do you think something which is so very perfectly marked up or marketed up will be something in which people will not overly indulge or will refrain from? Do you not use easier methods, but only if they are helping you and not taking over you?
Is that the
Honestly,
fault
both-
of technology or the
both-
fault of us humans as a society?
So, but then technology is not supplementing that. It's just going to make it worse, because see, a child who is growing up in this generation, if you think that he's going to have the responsibility when he comes up to our age, that I'm going to use AI responsibly, when he's being spoon fed from the grassroots level, do you think that responsibility is going to arise there?
The choice is in your hands. If you can use
A
phones,
two,
How can a 2 or 5-year-old have a choice?
because if his parents are
Again,
thinking
a
that
5-year
chat GPT is giving better answers, let's just do
That's
that.
the
Hence his
parents'
kids.
choice.
Right,
Exactly.
better answers. That bar for better answers will be increased with years. We will, again, I come back to my point. As a society, we will learn to not be impressed by basic chat GPT answers. We will learn to increase the bar for that better answers. And for that better answers, eventually that 5-year-old will grow up to be an 8-year-old and will have to use their mind to enhance those chat
And
GPT
we-
answers.
and most of all, why are we like even letting a 5-year-old?
Exactly.
Yours-
Why a
to you
5-year-old
answer
shouldn't
your
even be a
question.
part of this conversation?
Exactly.
Who doesn't
Okay,
even
I
know
want
shit
to
about
discuss
it.
just a
I think
second.
that in this
Okay,
day and
we'll
age,
cut
a
this point.
5-year-old
Okay,
would
okay.
be away
Take
from
it,
this
take it.
conversation. Do
Okay.
you really think so? We all
We'll
know our
continue.
little brothers and sisters who are
There's the
using
part
phones
that
every day.
teachers-
Okay.
Okay, so
We'll conclude here. Okay, so I just wanted to ask, I was looking a video on internet that students are learning from AI, and that AI is converting, like to understand the student and emotionally and other thing. So team AI Edge, what do you feel like a person, a student can, this AI can learn, like how is the student is connected emotionally? So what do you feel like? Do they do like real teachers can do? They are training the model, AI model, so that they can understand the human touch and the human emotions of the student. So what do you feel in the upcoming days it will happen, or the teachers, the real teachers who can do a better role into this?
Right now, AI is not developed nearly enough to replicate a teacher in terms of their emotional quotient, but eventually it will become better. I'm not saying it will ever become at par to an actual human,
Mhm.
but right now, absolutely not. AI is not developed enough to match the emotional quotient of a real person.
Okay.
that's something we agree on. I have no
Okay.
comment to that. I agree. It's not at par with teachers at all.
It can never.
And it can never be.
It
That's
can
what
never
we
That's
said.
why we're saying no. we cannot replace teachers entirely. We're
But
just
we can surely
letting
aid them.
AI to complement them.
No,
Finding a
we
middle ground
take
is a big achievement.
we take up
Right.
what are the features, the better features of the technology, and we use them. Why do we need to see the technology as a whole? Why don't
Okay.
we use what it is good at and leave what it's not good
So
at?
both
behind?
sides talked a lot about safeguards. I would like to take up that point. I saw this new chips being circulated in my school canteen. I really liked it. I went home and bought it again. So what I did was I saw something being implemented in my school and then I used that when I went home. If I am seeing as a kid, as a child who's going to school, if I am seeing something being propagated in my school, then I'm going to try it at home. I'm going to go home and try to replicate that. I'm going to try to use ChatGPT if I see it being implemented in my school. My teacher is using AI to mark my attendance. Obviously, I'm going to try out the feature when I go home. Do you think I'm not having fun in my life? I think that is where the problem lies.
Do you
I think
implement
propagation to children of AI is hampering their learning in a way which is, it's not reversible. It's irreversible to a point where once that kid loses his creativity, his ability to initiate that natural thought, where he cannot start a research on his own, where he cannot start doing stuff on his own, he needs an AI chatbot to give him first a layout and then he'll edit that. I think that is something that students are losing out on a level that is insurmountable. It's horrific what's happening to the mental capacity of a student when that happens.
we
You're-
all use the internet? Do you think you apply everything you see on internet? You
No,
took
but
the
if-
example of chips.
If it's propagated in
saw-
my school, if my teacher is telling me, oh, I'm using this AI in my teaching, I'm using this AI in my attendance marking.
You had a
If I'm
packet of
seeing it
chips
propagated
at
in my
school,
school.
you went home, you had 5 packets of it.
Yes.
Whereas I go there, I have it just for taste. I think the choice lies between us if you want
you
to.
really-
That depends on the responsibility, and that's what I'm
Again,
saying.
that's-
Also, if we
that's
are
saying
about that
entirely
we're both
different.
toddlers, do you expect either of us to be responsible? If we're
But our
toddlers,
parents are
It's
responsible.
our parents are
responsibility of the
responsible.
parents.
Parents की responsibility
I
is
think-
also
Do you-
subjective.
do you-
here.
parents is a point we've gotten out of
Okay,
the box.
team Human Torch, I just want to ask one question. So, just imagine for a hypothetical situation that a kid was, not feeling good for 1 month. He was not into the school, and and then when he start feeling well, he's going to school, and the next day is exam. So, what do you think? AI can help them because teacher was not available and he was not into the school. What do you have any thoughts about this?
The school just doesn't consist of just one teacher. There are so many teachers that the student can consult.
Yeah, I got your point. Like, what my point is, like, the student was ill, he was not in the school, but the exams are there, right? So he can take the help from the AI, right? So, like the question
Sir,
I asked.
I completely agree with your point.
Mhm.
But the situation here is dire.
Hmm.
He has no other option but to use that AI.
Yeah.
And it's not being propagated by his teacher. His teacher is not telling him to use that AI. He's not
Mhm.
telling him to use that chatbot. He's using it in a dire need. Right? So I think that's where the problem lies. In
This is
propagation.
where
Well,
the
you're
choice
talking
is
a lot
not-
about
this is an
propagation of
extreme
AI in
situation.
schools, right? Now, what if that propagation is limited, it is bounded, and the teachers, you said the chips packet example and all, what if the teacher shows how to use the AI in a certain way, and then you go at home and then use the AI in a certain way?
You said
Wouldn't it be better? Wouldn't it be better than, getting to know about AI from your friend and then using it to do whatever you want? Don't you think following an example is better than, you having complete autonomy on what you're doing with that AI?
you suggested bounding propagation. How do you suggest we do that?
By lead by example, the very basic example, lead by example, right? So teachers use AI, they tell students, oh, I'm using it in this way. They use AI productively. The student goes back home, says, oh, my teacher used this AI, I should use it.
Okay.
Will you not explore?
Okay,
Do you
but then
Wouldn't it be
that-
better
that's
than-
what the teacher is
That's the
trying to
role of the
let you
teacher.
know.
That's the role of the teacher. They guide the student how the ways of using AI. That's what the teacher's role is, and that's
that depends
dependent
upon
on
the
the children.
efficacy and how the teacher is trying to just tell you how to use that. That depends upon how productively the teacher is using that.
I think every advent of technology comes with the responsibility of human beings and the policy makers first. Instead of questioning the technology, you question the human mindset first.
Everything also comes with certain restrictions, and I think
And you follow them. Do you make the best out of it?
So, as a conclusion, I feel like we both have a valid point. So, we do need teachers, but in some extent, we also need AI. We have all the points. We have pros and cons for AI and for the other thing, but still it's like in a contradictory. It's both of the ways are important, but yes, there are some situation as we put into the discussion. We also need AI, and this kind of technology we need right now, so yes, we can use it. So that was a fascinating exchange of ideas, and hopefully it gave you something to think about, whether you believe AI will assist teachers or replace them. One thing is certain: education is evolving, and we all have a role in shaping its future. Thanks for being part of School of Thoughts. I am Mayur, and I'll see you next time with another big question, bold ideas, and voices that matters. Until then, keep learning, keep questioning. Thank you.